Today we're diving into something a bit different from what we usually do. If you like it, make sure to smash that like button and subscribe so we can make more videos like this. From the sources you've shared, it's clear you're someone who's fascinated by the edge of what we know, those moments in history that make you sort of tilt your head and ask, how is that even possible? Today, we're going straight for that feeling as we plunge into the greatest mysteries of ancient civilizations that defy explanation. Forget the well-trodden paths of history. We're looking at the genuine enigmas that challenge our very understanding of how far ancient societies progressed, and maybe even hint at knowledge we've somehow lost.
Absolutely. There's definitely a compelling draw to these historical head-scratchers. It forces us to confront the limitations of, our current understanding and consider that the past might have been far more complex than we often assume. We selected three prime examples that really highlight this: the Baghdad Battery, the Antikythera Mechanism, and the astonishing constructions of Puma Punku.
Exactly. Our goal in this deep dive is to explore these three incredible artifacts. We want to get under the hood of what they are, why they continue to puzzle experts, and ultimately, what insights they might offer about our own civilization and, the ever-evolving story of human ingenuity. So let's kick things off with something that sounds almost like it belongs in a science museum, yet it's, 2,000 years old, the Baghdad Battery.
Indeed. Discovered near Baghdad back in 1936, this artifact dates back approximately 2,000 years. Picture this: a simple clay jar. Inside, archaeologists found a copper cylinder and an iron rod. Doesn't immediately scream advanced technology, does it?
Not at all, no. It sounds like something you'd unearth in a forgotten storage room, maybe. But here's where it gets really interesting. When you introduce an acidic liquid, say vinegar or even lemon juice, to this setup, it can generate a small electrical current. This has led to a rather electrifying idea. Could this have been an ancient form of a battery?
And what's fascinating here are the potential implications. Experiments have shown these devices could produce somewhere between half a volt and maybe 1.5 volts. Now, while that won't power your laptop or anything...
That's not much power.
No, but it is sufficient for certain electrochemical processes. That's basically using electricity to cause chemical reactions, things like electroplating perhaps, or even potentially for very basic forms of medical therapy.
Electroplating in ancient Mesopotamia. That's wild. I mean, some theories suggest it could have been used to give jewelry a thin layer of gold or silver.
That's one possibility, yes.
Others propose it might have had a role in religious rituals, maybe creating a sort of surprising sensation for participants. A little tingle.
Could be. And then there's the intriguing possibility of early electrotherapy. Could they have been using mild currents for, say, pain relief or healing? It really makes you rethink what they were capable of.
It truly does, because if the Baghdad Battery was indeed a source of electrochemical power, well, that means this knowledge existed nearly 2 millennia before Galvani and Volta.
Exactly, who are typically credited with inventing the battery.
That's a huge reevaluation of the timeline of scientific discovery.
It is. So maybe the key takeaway here is that scientific understanding isn't always a straight line upwards. Entire fields of knowledge can seemingly just vanish, which is a sobering thought in our data-driven age.
Absolutely. It really makes you wonder what other scientific leaps might have been made and then simply faded from the historical record. But like any good historical puzzle, there are still some pretty significant questions that haven't been answered, right? There are doubts.
Precisely. While the battery hypothesis is compelling, it's definitely not universally accepted. Skeptics argue that the jar could have simply been a storage vessel, perhaps for scrolls. However, the presence of bitumen seals, like an asphalt plug, is an interesting point against that. You wouldn't typically seal a scroll container that tightly, would you?
That's a good point. No, you wouldn't seal it airtight like that. But then, okay, if it was a battery, where's the evidence of what it powered? Where are the wires? The gold-plated cups?
Exactly. That's the major sticking point. We haven't found any wires or definitively electroplated objects from that period in that specific region. If they possess this technology, you'd really expect to find some tangible evidence of its use, wouldn't you?
You would think so.
Furthermore, the civilizations often linked to the battery, the Parthian or Sasanian empires, they left no known texts or records describing any understanding or application of electricity. Zero.
So we have this incredibly suggestive artifact. It points towards a level of scientific insight we didn't think existed back then. Yet there's a real lack of supporting evidence to tell the full story. It just leaves you pondering.
It certainly raises an important question. If this wasn't a battery, what was it? Just an unusual pot? And if it was a battery, What does its isolation tell us about the nature of technological advancement in the ancient world? Could there have been these isolated pockets of innovation that just never diffused more widely, never caught on?
A fascinating point. It definitely makes you consider the very nature of progress itself. All right, let's journey from Mesopotamia to our next mind-bending mystery, the Antikythera Mechanism. Now, this sounds like something a time traveler might have accidentally dropped overboard.
It really does seem like that. Discovered in a 2,000-year-old shipwreck off the coast of Greece in 1901, the Antikythera Mechanism is truly a machine that seems impossibly advanced for its time. When scientists began to reconstruct the fragments, the level of internal complexity was simply astonishing, like nothing else found from that era.
Astonishing is putting it mildly. We're talking about a device crafted with intricate, interlocking bronze gears, right? Tiny little teeth.
Yes, incredibly fine work.
And not just a few simple cogs. We're talking about a level of precision that apparently wasn't seen again for over 1,000 years. It even surpasses the mechanical sophistication of, say, medieval clocks.
That's absolutely correct. The sheer complexity of the gearing mechanism, the differential gears, that's what makes it so remarkable. But what was its purpose? Well, it certainly wasn't a toy. It was an incredibly sophisticated astronomical calculator.
An astronomical calculator from 2 millennia ago. Okay, here's where it gets really, really interesting. What could it actually calculate?
Well, based on scans and reconstructions, it can track the movements of the Sun, the Moon, and the 5 planets known at the time, Mercury, Venus, Mars, Jupiter, Saturn, with remarkable accuracy. It could predict eclipses, both solar and lunar, track lunar phases, and it even featured a calendar that accounted for the complexities of the solar year, including leap years. It was essentially a portable planetarium and calendar combined.
Wow, that's just beyond anything I would have imagined for that era. It wasn't just for navigation then, was it? Seems far too intricate for just finding your way at sea.
Probably not solely for navigation, no. It also seems to have predicted the dates of the Olympic Games, which highlights its cultural and possibly even ritual significance. It was a device deeply integrated into their understanding of the cosmos and their place within it, serving both practical, like farming maybe, and cultural needs.
So who on earth built this incredible machine? It sounds like something Leonardo da Vinci might have conceived of, maybe Archimedes, not someone from 200 BC Greece.
That's one of the central unsolved mysteries. The level of engineering sophistication strongly suggests it originated from a lost tradition of Greek mechanics. Some theories even propose a connection to the workshops of Archimedes himself, given the advanced mathematical and mechanical principles at play. It has that kind of feel to it.
Archimedes, wow, that's mind-blowing if true. So why did this level of technology seemingly just vanish? We don't encounter anything remotely similar for centuries and centuries afterwards.
That's the profound question, isn't it? Why was this knowledge lost? Was it due to societal upheaval, maybe the burning of libraries like Alexandria, war, natural disasters, or perhaps even a deliberate shift in intellectual focus? Suppression. The fact that no other devices of comparable complexity have ever been discovered, despite extensive archaeology, only deepens the enigma. It connects directly back to our earlier point about the Baghdad Battery technological progress isn't always a smooth, continuous climb upwards.
It really makes you think about what knowledge we might be taking for granted today, things that could potentially be lost or forgotten in the future. If this one device survived purely by chance, preserved in a shipwreck, how many other equally advanced or perhaps even more sophisticated inventions were just lost forever, melted down, destroyed?
Exactly. The Antikythera Mechanism serves as such a potent reminder of the fragility of technological knowledge and the potential for even really significant advancements to be lost completely to time.
Another sobering thought. Okay, let's journey now from the Mediterranean up high into the Andes and explore our final enigma, Puma Punku. This site is just, well, it's baffling to look at the pictures.
It truly is. Located high in the Bolivian Andes near Tiwanaku, Puma Punku is a megalithic site, meaning it's built with enormous stones. But it really stands out due to the sheer scale of its construction and the almost unbelievable precision of its stonework. When you examine some of these structures, it almost appears as though they were shaped using, advanced machining techniques or something.
Advanced machining thousands of years ago, that's what it looks like. Describe some of this seemingly impossible engineering for us. What are we talking about?
Well, first consider the materials. Many of the key structures are made from granite and diorite. These are some of the hardest stones on the planet, incredibly difficult to work with even today. Yet these massive blocks were cut with perfectly straight edges, flawless right angles, and incredibly smooth, almost polished surfaces. We're not talking roughly shaped stones here. We're talking about a level of precision that would be challenging to achieve, even with some modern tools. Laser-like cuts, almost.
And they fit together with incredible accuracy, right? Like colossal 3D stone puzzle pieces without any mortar holding them.
Precisely. The interlocking design is so intricate, featuring complex geometric cuts, H-blocks, things like that, that the stones fit together absolutely seamlessly without the need for any binding agents. This tight fit has also allowed the structures to withstand earthquakes over long periods. It demonstrates an extraordinary understanding of engineering principles, geometry, and stonemasonry.
It's just mind-boggling. Because when you consider the traditional understanding of the civilizations that are believed to have constructed Puma Punku, there's a problem.
You encounter a significant disconnect, yes. The Tiwanaku civilization, generally credited with the site dating roughly from 500 to 1000 AD, they had no known writing system, and according to the archaeological evidence we have, they lack the advanced metal tools, like hardened steel chisels, that would seem necessary for such precise work on such hard stone. This naturally leads to the question, did they actually build it all, or did they perhaps inherit the site, or maybe just the knowledge, from an even earlier, unknown culture with more advanced capabilities?
That's the central mystery, isn't it? And it's not just about the intricate cuts, it's also about the sheer size and transportation of these stones. These things are huge.
Exactly. Some of these blocks weigh well over 100 tons.
Yeah.
Enormous. The nearest known quarry for the red sandstone is about 10 miles away, and the site itself is located at a punishing altitude of nearly 13,000 feet. How did a civilization without the wheel or strong draft animals like horses or oxen manage to transport and then so precisely place these enormous heavy stones? Based on our current understanding of their tech, it seems practically impossible.
It really does.
Yeah.
And that's where some of the more unconventional theories start to circulate, right? Ideas about lost ancient technologies, levitation, maybe even other possibilities we might not have considered. Alien intervention gets mentioned sometimes.
Indeed. Some researchers have proposed that the precisely cut channels and the overall layout of Puma Punku might have been part of some kind of ancient energy system, perhaps utilizing acoustics, water, or some form of resonance we don't understand. Now, while these remain highly speculative, they really underscore the sheer enigmatic nature of the site and how our current explanations often fall quite short of explaining the evidence on the ground.
It really makes you question our assumptions about the linear progression of technology, doesn't it? If a civilization without what we consider basic tools could achieve this level of engineering, what does that tell us about the potential of human ingenuity in different contexts?
Yeah.
It even prompts that provocative idea you hear sometimes of a lost, more advanced global civilization in the distant past. Maybe one whose knowledge was perhaps lost due to some major cataclysm, like a flood or something.
It certainly opens up that avenue of thought. What could a civilization achieve with a different understanding of physics or construction, even without the specific tools we deem essential today? It challenges our very definition of what constitutes an advanced civilization.
So as we bring this deep dive into these three remarkable mysteries, the Baghdad Battery, the Antikythera Mechanism, and Puma Punku to a close, what are the key insights that really resonate with you? It's the big picture.
For me, I think the overriding message is that the ancient world held complexities and perhaps even advancements that we're only just beginning to glimpse. These artifacts offer tangible physical evidence that the story of human progress isn't always a straightforward upward narrative. Knowledge can emerge, it can flourish, and then for reasons we may never fully understand, it can seemingly just disappear. And throughout it all, human curiosity and ingenuity have been these constant forces, always pushing boundaries.
Absolutely. And perhaps the most important lesson we can take away from all this is a sense of intellectual humility. Modern science definitely doesn't possess all the answers, and the past still holds secrets that could fundamentally alter our understanding of human history and our place within it.
Precisely. Which kind of leads to a final thought for our listeners to ponder. Are we truly at the apex of civilization, the pinnacle? Or are we simply a part of an ongoing cycle of innovation, loss, and maybe rediscovery? Perhaps the answers to that very question lie waiting to be unearthed in the ruins and artifacts of the ancient world, challenging us to rethink everything we thought we knew.